Hi, everybody. I'm Maddie, and we're going to go ahead and start today's session. It's a pretty special session as we've just released the GA announcement of Amazon Q and QuickSight, which is really exciting. And today I'm here with one of the product managers on the Amazon Q team, Amy, and we'll be talking today about mastering Q topic creations for Amazon Q and QuickSight. All right, and then here's the agenda for today. So we have what is Amazon Q, and then we'll go over just a few of the feature capabilities, what is a Q topic and how it can help you on your Amazon Q journey in QuickSight, why it's important to master them. We'll do a demo about Q topics. And then today we actually have a dummy data set that we'll be using. I linked it earlier, but I'll go ahead and link it again. You can go ahead and download this. It's a public GitHub dataset. Everything's anonymized, and just to help you practice for learning purposes only, none of the numbers are real, just to help you understand how topics can help you with Amazon Q. And then lastly, we'll go over Q pricing. Okay, so what exactly is Amazon Q and what does it do in QuickSight specifically? So Amazon Q is powered by Amazon Bedrock within AWS, and it's your AI-powered assistant to help you in your QuickSight account. It allows users to use natural language to build your dashboards, and it provides generative insights on your data through data Q&A, executive summaries, and data storytelling, which we'll get into right now. So for authors, Amazon Q will help you build your dashboards. The first thing it can do is build visuals. So if you see on the screen here, you can type in natural language, something that you'd want a visual of. So right here, I'm doing total reach by campaign ID. And Amazon Q will generate a visual, which you can see here, this horizontal bar chart, which you can then add to your analysis. And so you can see here, I'm going through the steps. It can also let you add calculations. So say, for example, that I wanted to build a visual using percent change data, but I don't already have that information in my data set. I can actually use Amazon Q to type in natural language and even use some like slang terms like Q over Q percent from existing fields in my data set in natural language, and it'll provide the correct syntax for the calculation, which you can see here. Insert, and it'll add to my analysis in this section here. And I can go ahead and put that into a visual. So here I'm just doing a KPI visual using the calculation that I built with Amazon Q. Right. And then the other thing it can do is refine visuals. So if you have an existing visual, right here, I'm using this horizontal bar chart as an example, you can actually edit things with Amazon Q, including titles, visual types. You can add conditional formatting to your visuals and using small multiples. So for this example, I just wanted to edit my visual, and instead of doing a horizontal bar chart, say I wanted to change it to a pie chart. And Amazon Q will generate this pie chart, which is a better way of personally viewing the visual for this specific data. And then let's say I'm a business user and I want to use Amazon Q for my dashboard. The first thing that I can do is generate executive summaries of my data. So if you're in the dashboard view, there's this button on the top right corner called Build. And if you press that, there's an option for executive summary. And Amazon Q will actually summarize your whole data on your dashboard and give you top 3 insights and even pull some things from your data that might not be visible on your visual already. So here's just an example. And if you go ahead and click and hover on one of the insights, you see these underlined parts. If you click on that, it actually brings you to the visual that it's coming from, so you can double check and make sure that that is in fact accurate. And as you can see, I just did that here. All right, and then the other thing you can do is ask questions on your data with data Q&A. So again, I'm asking in natural language, something I want to see in my data. So I put in, what are the worst performing ads? And Amazon Q will generate this multi-visual answer that provides some more context behind which ads were performing the best and worst. So here it interpreted as total reach by ad name, and then provided this horizontal bar chart, scatter chart, and then also a narrative, which is really helpful. And then this is super useful for non-experts who just want to get insights from their data, but don't necessarily have the technical expertise or time to go through their whole data on their dashboard. right? And you can see that multi-visual and narrative here. Okay, and then the last thing you can do as a business user is say you are a manager or you're preparing for a meeting and you want to build a narrative of your dashboard. You can actually use Amazon Q to build what we call a data story. And in natural language, I'm just typing a prompt. So here I said, write a marketing strategy to lower the ad spending and increase reach and clicks. And after you write your prompt, you just add the visuals you want to see in your story, and Amazon Q will actually build a starting point template for you to kind of go through and edit and add things to your narrative. So here it actually generated this title, Optimizing Our Marketing Strategy for Greater Reach and Engagement. And through this, you can edit specific things. So you can edit the length of the text it's generated, or you can change it from bullet points and add different visuals to customize it to how you see fit. Okay, so now that we've talked about Amazon Q capabilities, we're going to go in and talk about what exactly is a Q topic and how does this relate to Amazon Q. So a Q topic is a data asset that represents an area of your business or the data sets in your dashboard. It helps you answer your natural language questions about your data, which is important for having this generative insight portion of Amazon Q. It's actually what's powering the multi-visual answer that you'll see. Okay, and then so what exactly is an Q topic? So the first thing we're going to go over is data fields. And the data fields are the fields from your data set that you'll use in your topic. It can include different dimensions, states, or measures, also functions that you create from multiple fields. So when you look at a Q topic, the data fields page includes this X fields exclude portion. So you can include all fields or exclude the ones that aren't relevant. It also has these friendly names that Q actually is generating. And it'll also include synonyms for each of the friendly names and details about that data field. So the details include descriptions about that field, some default and not allowed aggregations, the semantic type and subtype of that semantic type, and then the format. And we'll go over in more depth what those exactly mean. And so why is this important? These data fields help your business users pull out accurate insights from your data, and it provides variation in the descriptions used to ask the same question. So say I want to have a question about, if you see here, the account name, but I don't necessarily know as an end user that what an account name means. I look at account names as customers. If you add customers as a synonym, when you ask a question about customers, it'll bring in the account name data. And then we'll go over refining data fields in this demo, but to do so, we'll do the include exclude field portion. We'll edit the friendly names to be more friendly to your end users who will actually ask questions about your data. Adding synonyms, again, to make sure the natural language question queries match up with what your end users will say. And then in the details portion, the description, roles, and default aggregations. And then the next part in a Q topic are named entities. So what is a named entity? It's a group of fields from a data set that represents a business concept. And you'll see this in the demo, but the example that I'll show is, say, for example, I have a marketing data set, which is the one we're using today. And we have a list of different metrics in our data set, including clicks, outbound clicks, likes, comments, and saves. A named entity would be something like performance metrics, which captures all of those data fields, but in one grouping. And that helps power the multi-visual answer that you'll see that Amazon Q generates in the data Q&A. So here, like I said, I did post performance as an example, and it includes like lots of different metrics, but some are post likes, outbound clicks, comments, and impressions. And again, this is important because it gives Q greater context of your field relationships, and it provides focus when answering your questions. And it uses these relationships to create that multi-visual answer, like I just said. So without a named entity, your Q response in Q&A might look something like this. It's just going to give you one chart and then a basic narrative. But if you use a Q or if you use a named entity, you'll get something like this, which is that multi-visual response. You see there's a horizontal bar chart, this plot, and then a narrative also with all of the metrics here that are named in the named entity. Okay. And so some best practices for making a topic that we want to keep in mind is keeping the business users in mind. So you want to know what are they curious about, which will help you focus your synonyms and friendly names, as well as including and excluding which data fields you actually want in your topic. And how do they talk about their business? So what types of terms do they want to see in the Q&A, and then you'll add those to your synonyms. You also want to start small and scale out. So beginning with a small grouping of maybe say 10 to 15 questions and making sure that those are accurate and then being able to scale up to answer more. So starting with a robust small subset and then scaling to additional people to share with and also additional questions will help your topic and Amazon Q give you good answers. And then again, you want to just continuously monitor and improve your topic. So making sure to review your topic user activity, which you can do in the topics page, and then keeping your stakeholders in the loop while you do this. So now we're going to get into the demo portion. But before we do so, I went ahead and sent in a link of the data set on GitHub that we'll be using. You can go ahead and download this, but you don't have to, or you can save it for later. We'll still go over through the demo, and you can reference that on your own if you'd like. And then exactly what is in the data set. So this data set is an anonymous data set. Like I said before, it's a marketing data set that includes 3 accounts and includes different impressions and post-performance metrics that we'll be looking at. And what it focuses on is the ad spending and campaign spending of those different ads that we'll see, and some other business outcomes that have to do with it. It also just gives some data information, so you'll have data fields that capture measures, functions, and dates. Okay, so let me go ahead and switch screens here. All right. Okay. I hope everyone can see my screen. Amy, let me know if they can't. But so right now I'm in my QuickSight account, and here I'm on just the landing page that you'll see, and I want to go over to this left pane and press topics. And so once you're in the topics portion, you'll just add new topic and then the name of the topic. So right here, I'm just using this as an example, but demoing, mastering Q topics, and then entering a brief description. So again, I'm just going to make up something quickly, saying this is for learning how to create a topic, or say getting the most with generative BI and Amazon. Cute. Okay, great. And then just make sure to press that check mark to have the generative Q&A experience. And we'll go ahead and create that. And then adding the data set that I have provided before. So it's the marketing dummy data set. And then we'll create. And right here, it's just indexing the data set. This can take a couple minutes for it to load, and this is what's generating those friendly names and synonyms that you'll see pop up once the topic is created. So we'll just have this go for a couple minutes. Okay, great. Okay, so it's automatically brought me to this topic page. And this is what you'll all see. So first it has, you see the data tab and then the name, the description, when it was modified and refreshed. And so we'll begin on the data tab. Let me go ahead and X out of these little pop-ups. And once you're in the data field tab, you'll see the information that I talked about before, the include, exclude fields, and I'm just kind of going through to only include the ones that I want. So the reason why I toggled off ad ID is for my business users, they won't really care about the ad ID. They only really care about the names of the customers and the ad names. And then I toggled on format. And again, taking out campaign ID for similar reasons. And just making sure that all of these measures are included. So click-through rate, clicks, impressions, reaches, cost per clicks, and all the relevant ones that I want to include for my end users. So I know they'll care about likes, comments, cost per post engagement, reactions, saves. Going through, they want link clicks, outbound clicks, page likes, and so on. So let me just go ahead and toggle all of these on. Okay, and then I'm not going to include these dating measurements because that doesn't really mean anything. The only one they care about is the created date, which I toggled on. Okay, so that looks good. And now what we're going to do is change some friendly names. So these are the names that are included in my data set, but say I wanted to edit this, as I said before, like account name maybe doesn't necessarily mean as much, but they'll just refer to it as account or customer. So I'm just adding customer to the synonym. Yep. And then going through the rest that I've added here. So for format, I'm just going to put that as a synonym. And then I'll just take out name here, kind of redundant. I'll just say add. And then same with amount spent. They're not really going to ask about amount spent, more just like ad spending. All right, and then let's see. Again, campaign name is a little bit redundant, so I'm just going to do campaign. Since I don't have the ID toggled on, campaign will be the only, or campaign name will be the only field that's relevant. And then I'll just add name to synonym in case they ask that as a question. And then for click-through, we refer to that as CTR, which is common in the marketing industry. And same with this other metric, cost per 1,000 impressions. That's commonly known as CPM. So I'm just going to add that as a synonym. And then looking at cost per click, that is also going to be probably commonly called by my end users as CPC. So I'll go ahead and add that. Okay, great. And then let me scroll through just to see what else I want to look at. And I'm also looking at the synonyms that Amazon Q has provided me already, just to see if those are actually what end users might call that in the Q&A portion. So here for create a date, I'm just going to say date. Again, it's the only date field that's toggled on. So adding that to as a synonym. And then for estimated ad recall lift, that's a bit lengthy. And I know that my end users will probably say ad recall instead. And through this portion, if you should get feedback from your end users on what synonyms that they use. So again, back to our best practices, that was one of the points there. And so I think for objective, my end users will most likely call them goals. So I added that as a synonym. For page likes, just likes because there was no post likes. Oh, sorry. And then let me just make sure. Yeah. Okay. So it looks like that's the only likes data. So I'm just going to change that to likes. And then for photo views, we could just say views there. And then throughout this process, I'm just checking to make sure that when I add a synonym for saves, I don't want it to be ambiguous with, say, like if it was a post save or like a photo save. I want to make sure that the synonym is only reflective of one type of data field. All right, and then for video plays, just adding plays, and then possibly streams as well. So streams. Okay. So looking through this, this looks pretty good for friendly names and synonyms. And so now what we're going to do is go through the details portion. So it's already a pretty good starting point from what's given of the different dimensions and the details. But say I want to get more granular and go individually through these fields to have a more robust answer. So I'm going to go through the roles, default aggregations, and not allowed aggregations, and then also the semantic types for some. So looking through, let's start with ad here. So ad spend, I know, is a currency. And so I'm going to make sure that I have that written down. So right here is just a numerical value, but I want to make sure it shows up as a currency. So I'm pressing the semantic type currency. It's in US dollars. And then for formatting, I'm going through and putting it as currency. and then the correct symbols. Those all look good, and then saving that. So now when questions are answered, it'll show up as a currency, which is more clear to my end users. And then same with account. If I go to the default aggregation, we want to do count distinct because there's categorical data, and then that's it. And I'll go through and just do that for all the categories. So we're going to go through for add format, add. So there's, I believe, 6 different types of ads in this data set. And then, whoop, we don't have buying type, so not that one. Campaign as well. And let's see. And that looks like it. And notice that the date for create a date already has date as a detail, so I don't really need to go through and change that one. Okay, so looking at the details now, everything looks good. The measures are captured correctly. Now we're going to go on to named entity. So again, we're going to look at the post-performance group that I mentioned earlier. And to create a named entity, you're going to go ahead and press it. I'm just getting rid of these pop-ups and naming it. So I'm going to name this post-performance, and these will be the metrics used to capture how successful an ad did. So I'm going ahead and adding a description. Let's say something like metrics of how an ad did. Great. And then field rankings. So this is what's going to be included in the group. You first want to identify what you're talking about. So we're going to be talking about ads here and making sure that that's the #1 ranking. And then we're going to rank the other metrics below. And you want it in order of what you think your end users will care about most. So here I'm just going to add all the metrics initially. So I know they'll care about the clicks, and let's see, they want to care about impressions, the outbound clicks, page engagement, likes, the comments, post engagement, reactions, saves, reach. Okay, and then now I can reorder this based on what I think they think is most important. So I know that my end users care most about the impressions that we're getting from these ads, and then probably the reach. And then looking through post engagement, above page engagement, and then post reactions to go with post engagement. And let's see, that looks pretty good. Okay, and then here you just see the chart comparing all the data, and I went ahead and saved that. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and close out of this. And we'll just do one more named entity to show an example. So here it is, post performance, and then adding another one, naming this cost breakdown of each ad. And to do a brief description, it'll just be the costs that are associated with an ad. Okay. Oop, and ads metrics. Great. And then similarly, I'm going to add a synonym to like what we did with the data fields. I think that maybe just breakdown would do. And then adding the field rankings again based on importance, and then what fields I want to include in this named entity. So I'm going to do all the ones that have to do with cost. And great, that looks good. And then making sure my rankings are correct. Great. And so I'm doing this in the same fashion as I did the other one. Removing that because we don't really care about videos versus photos, and then saving that information. And I also noticed that I didn't include the click-through rate in the other one. So we're going to go ahead and go back into post-performance. Oh, and let me add a synonym. Okay. Then maybe we'll add that as well. And then I'll go ahead and just add click-through rate. Whoop. And I believe that one will be pretty important. Okay. So going ahead and to save this, and then I'm making sure to sync it with the field rankings. and then closing out of this. Okay. And then the next step we want to just make sure and check is the suggested questions. So Amazon Q will generate AI generated questions, which you can look through here. And then you can go ahead and see how accurate this is and verify it so your users can use it. So just going through this one, total reach by campaign ID. It pulled this from the data field, although we're not using campaign ID, but we can go through and make sure that this information is correct. So looking through the highlighted portions, you can see which visual it's actually pulling from and double check that this answer is correct. So it says that the abandoned cart discount had the top performing campaign, and that looks correct, and it was interpreted as reach. So I'm going to go ahead and verify that answer. Right, and then now I can type in my own question. So say I'm curious about the top ad performance last year, and I will go ahead and ask Q that. Okay, and so Q pulls up this multi-visual answer. Again, it's interpreted as top ads by total reach in 2023. So that last year is interpreted as 2023, and then ad performance interpreted as total reach. Okay, this looks good, but say I meant to say clicks instead of reach by post performance or page engagement. I can go ahead and click the did you mean portion, and Q will bring up a different answer. So in this interpretation, it looks like that the ad items selling out fast had the highest page engagement. And you can see the total page engagement in this top right here, this line chart, and then also this horizontal bar chart. Again, if you hover over it, it'll highlight which visual that information is coming from. Right. Okay, and that looks good. So I'm going to go ahead and verify that. Right, and then you can see the verified questions here. And then once your users ask that question, you'll see that number go up under asked. And the last thing you'll do is share the topic with users and groups. Great. Okay. So that completes our demo for QTopic. And let me go ahead and now share my screen and we'll start talking about Amazon Q pricing. So now that we're talking about Amazon Q pricing, you might wonder how this is going to impact you as a current user and what has changed. So a couple things have changed in QuickSight. We have new user roles and different capabilities to our existing user roles. So now with the new user role, we have an added Reader Pro and Author Pro. And the Reader Pro will get these generative BI capabilities, including the data storytelling portion and executive summary portion. But the existing Reader role will now have data Q&A, which is kind of the portion we just went over in Q Topics. And then you can see the price increase here. So the new Reader Pro role will be $20, while the existing Reader role, I believe the monthly cap was $5 maximum per month, is now going to be a flat $3 cost if you're user-based. And if you're capacity-based, it's going to be similar to the previous pricing model we had before with capacity packs. And then for authors, our author price remains the same, but now again, you have access to data Q&A. And if you now have Author Pro, which is the building visuals with Amazon Q, the building calculations, and the edit visuals, that will be $50 per month. And then as you can see here, you have the Q&A topic creation and the all the Reader Pro capabilities, plus the Author Pro ones as well. And just so you know, if you are a reader and you have access to data Q&A, you have to have an Author Pro to have that access. So if there's no Q topic creation, which is only allowed in Author Pro, then you will not see the data Q&A if you're just a reader. And then another change is we used to have $250 per month per account Q enablement fee for each region. So say that you had a QuickSight account spanning 3 regions, you would pay the $250 per month for those 3 regions. And now with the same QuickSight account, you would only pay that once. Okay, and then again, here's kind of a breakdown of each capabilities that cross over into the different roles. So we have reader and author. You get data Q&A and interacting with stories. Reader Pro, the build stories and executive summaries, and then Author Pro, all of those plus building dashboards with natural language and building the topics. And then if you also have IAM Identity Center, Author Pro and Reader Pro will get you cross-account entitlement in QuickSight and Amazon Q business access. Okay, so we are offering this for 30 days. You'll get full access to these capabilities for up to 4 users of any type. So you could have 2 Author Pros, 2 Reader Pros, 3 Reader Pros, 1 Author Pro, whatever you decide. Okay, and then if you are an existing Enterprise Edition customer, here are some pricing changes you might want to know about. So existing accounts can move to the new pricing model that we have, or you can stay with the same one that we have previously, but you'll automatically be moved in May 1st, 2025. And then pro users who use IDC are entitled to access all QuickSight accounts within a single payer account for a single subscription fee. So if you're not Q subscribed, readers get the $3 flat fee per month versus the up to $5, which is just a 30-cent per session charge, up to $5. And then they'll also get data Q&A access for all readers and authors. But if you're Q subscribed, you'll get that $3 flat fee per month. You won't have the Q fee for authors, and then you'll get the single $250 Q enablement fee. Okay, and then I kind of touched on it earlier, but the capacity pricing is still the same. So you have to, if you are a Q user and a reader, get the reader session, which is priced here, plus the Q capacity pack, which is based on how many questions you ask, which is listed here.